At this point, I definitely feel like I'm doing this out of obligation.
Ooh, that's a hot mug, guy.
Hey guys, this is my review for episode 7 of Supernatural Season 10, Girls, Girls, Girls. And this one has Rowena in it. Admittedly, it does start off with a pretty interesting little bit of a girl who's being chased by a pimp/demon. And hey, look at that, you can't run in high heels. It's a pretty cool stab effect, but obviously ends with a kill. Cut to the brothers in a diner, and Sam finds out that Dean drove all the way down here to basically get his shag on. He's got a pretty funny dating app, and there's actually a pretty interesting story behind the dating app. The interests listed in Dean's dating app are rolling through town, no strings attached, interested, were the same as what Jensen gave as an answer to that question of what would Dean have as a dating profile back in 2014 at a Comic-Con. Writer Robert Burns actually was listening to this while writing the script for this episode, and he thought, hey, that's actually a pretty cool idea. Let's put that in. The main conflict of this episode is that there is a prostitution ring being run by demons, and Dean finds that out through the girl that he hooked up with is actually a prostitute. Overall, it's actually a pretty scary idea when you think about it, because prostitution and all of that human trafficking is already scary enough, but to have it be run by demons, that's actually pretty scary, but they don't really do anything with it in this episode. And I think they realize that it's not going to go anywhere because Rowena shows up and has a pretty interesting kill of a demon. It seems strangely familiar. Rowena takes these ladies with her and goes to a fancy restaurant, which I find very curious considering that is the saddest plate of spaghetti I have ever seen. Basically, Rowena is trying to raise up her own coven again. She's still bitter about things that happened centuries ago, and she thinks that with these ladies, at least seemingly, she thinks that with these ladies that she could rise up her own coven again, but these ladies pretty much are just as screwed now as they were before with the demon prostitution ring. The boys finally find them, save them from the demons who were gonna kill. One of the girls finds out how quick Rowena's loyalty dissolves as she is used as bait basically to try and distract the brothers, but while Sam fights one of them, Dean goes after her, and they come to one of the most filmed alleyways in all of Vancouver. This is one of the most used locations in all of Van, and it is a fucking disgusting alleyway. I am amazed it looks so clean. Mind you, this is 2014 and they probably definitely had a cleanup crew go through here. There are some fucking horror stories about cleaning up the alleyways, these alleyways in Vancouver. I don't really want to talk about them, but let's just say that pretty much any kind of thing you could imagine down these alleyways shy of a dead body has been found down these. And just when you think that this episode is about to make an interesting turn, oh no, he comes back. Yes, Cole is in this episode. They alluded to him earlier in the episode torturing demons, and I think I immediately erased it from my mind, and I've watched this episode twice. But yes, he is here to confront Dean again, thinking that he is a demon. And even though Dean isn't a demon, and he is actually trying to be somewhat affirming to Cole, he still kicks his absolute ass. Dean and Cole try to sort it out with fists, and Dean uses words. But it truly, truly proves that Cole just doesn't matter at all. Someone said a week ago that his entire character doesn't work. Revenge is best set when someone has nothing left to live for. Cole has a great family and apparently a little PTSD on the side from his father's death. Sure, just let him walk away from the show. Oh, it's actually what they're going to do. There must have been some outcry, both from fans and staff, but really, is this the end of him? What was the fucking point? This is one of the most useless additions to the show ever. There are one-off characters who got less screen time than this fucking dude did. I've been really negative about this episode, but it does have some funny bits with Rowena, some cool spells. Her involvement in this story gives it a little bit of flavor that this show desperately needed at the time. And there also is some inner conflict with Dean and Cole. And while Cole is boring, at least this is a wrapped up storyline, so that's a positive on it. The best part about this episode, though, actually is Castiel and Hannah. Castiel and Hannah have this pretty intense moment between Hannah bumping into her vessel's husband, trying to allude that they are in fact having an affair, but then Hannah comes to the realization that she can't continue on as this. She can hear Hannah in her head, the vessel, and she wants to leave. She wants to let the vessel have her purpose back. And it's a pretty heartfelt goodbye from Castiel and Hannah. I actually thought it was pretty decent. I don't know where Hannah goes exactly. I think she just goes back up to heaven, maybe. Don't even know if we'll ever see the Hannah character again. This arc also leads to Jimmy Novak and being curious about his past, his history, and thinking, you know what? Maybe I should look into this old guy. Maybe I should. And to be honest, that's the most interesting story arc that's happened in this entire season. The fact that we have to resort to looking up Jimmy Novak's past 7 episodes in being the most thing, because the whole Demon Dean thing just was wiped from the table. It's a little bit sad, but it is the stronger point. With everything said, there are a little bit more positives than negatives in this episode, so it's not a negative outright, but it is barely passing the passing line. So in the end, I'm going to give this episode a 4 out of 7. But those are my thoughts about this episode. Let's see what you guys have to say.
Hey guys, just letting you know this is the first official recording from the new place, so hopefully the sound is good. Great episode. As you'd guess, Rowena is the main appeal of the episode. Seeing Cole made me want to barf, but I did enjoy Dean's talk with him, showing layers of Dean. First, it showed his maturity of trying to talk it out, just not killing Cole, and him trying to stop Cole's desire for vengeance is personal. One of the main themes of the show is vengeance doesn't equal peace. Dean and Sam know this firsthand with their mom, Jesse and Bobby, but this conversation is also the first time Dean breaking down his walls and seeing how messed up he is over the mark, whereas here's trying to downplay it. I think it's just because of how quick it was and how little development there was for Cole. This felt like a Temu version of those story aspects that we have seen in the show done far better. Then there's the other half. Like I said before, I've never invested in Castiel's relationship with Hannah, but it was sad to see them part. It's also painful to see Cass reevaluate his whole species. Despite not always agreeing with their actions, Cass has always had some part of pride as being an angel, but this episode was a wake-up call for Cass, and he and his kind are basically parasites, and they're hurting families of their hosts. This sets Cass on a redemption mission. While there's nothing new, this one doesn't actually involve any other angels, which makes it tolerable. I preferred Castiel's story over in this episode than anything else, to be honest. Girls, Girls, Girls is probably one of the most decent executed episodes in the season after Rowena's clever introduction. It's fun to see the witches becoming a main focus of the season. We do get some world building with them later on in the season that works well to me. I knew from day one she was Crowley's mother, especially before the season before this season, the show was openly casting a middle-aged redhead with a Scottish accent. Dean falling victim to a scam from a prostitute is very Dean. A demon trying to run a brothel with damning souls is funny, and I love how Crowley handles it. I also love how the episode propels Castiel's personal arc. This season is wanting to make amends for the Novak family. Lastly, there's some good, decent closure with Cole's character. I like how the fight is the opposite fight from when Dean was a demon. Dean's talk with Cole is personal, relatable when he said, "These stories that we tell us to keep going. Man, sometimes they blind us. They take us to dark places." Well, everyone wanted Dean as a demon longer in this season. They ignored the poster from season 10 that put it in subtext, "Wrestle your demons." Dude, that's the whole show. I think it's why I enjoy season 10 more than others, is because I came prepared from the interviews, understanding how the season was and personal arcs. I delved more on that than I would give my thoughts on season 10 as a whole later. One more, sorry about the long comment. Something I can say, I understand where you're coming from with that. I don't enjoy that, though. That's been an excuse of a bunch of television shows. Hell, that's the excuse of J.J. Abrams' writing style. There would always be interviews afterwards that would explain what would happen or context. The Walking Dead had that. The Fear of the Walking Dead. Anything that has something that's after that helps you give you context. If you have to watch interviews and emails, The Last of Us season 2 had a bunch of these too. If you need to help make your product actually have actual cohesion through post interviews, you've got a problem. But that's just my opinion. I don't think it's as bad here as in other examples, but that's why I don't like that kind of context. I really enjoyed Rowena, watching her for the big reveal of Crowley's mother. I didn't see that coming. Mark Shepard once said that he wished the writers would have made Rowena his ex-wife instead of his mother. That would have been more weird. I liked how they wrapped up that Hannah story. Felt like she let go of her vessel and forced Castiel to decide to check up on Jimmy Novak's family and keep his promise to him to look after his family as Dean and Cole. I was relieved that was finished in a good way. This episode is one of my favorites, not because they introduced Rowena. She's my favorite besides the brothers. Plus, we get a little more information about witches in the coven that would come more in later seasons. But Dean's monologue to Cole gets through to me thinking about the end of the show, the final episode. I still have mixed feelings about Dean's ending, especially hearing himself thinking he's going to die. Dean did deserve a better death, and Supernatural should have just had them driving off to the sunset like heroes do. I agree with that one, but yeah, everyone really likes the Cole thing, and I think I'm just like, it was, like I said, it was just a Temu version of what I'd already seen. Girls, Girls, Girls is one of the better story episodes in the season, and overall enjoyed it, despite me not really caring about Rowena in this season. I think that she does help set up to become a better character in season 11. I absolutely agree with that. I also like the fight between Dean and Cole and the monologue that he gives. I think it was emotional and honestly a highlight of a very boring and forgettable character. I guess you could take it that way. It's a way better ending than for what we would get later in the season. Despite the praises, it's still not great. I found Castiel and Caroline side plot uninteresting, like most of Castiel's arcs after season 7, and it brought down the episode for me. Oh, interesting. It's kind of a mix and up and down about Castiel's story. So far, this is the best episode of Season 10, tying up several plot lines while opening up new threats. Rowena's introduction remains excellent, and even though the Andrew Dabb era of Supernatural was pretty terrible, her character was genuinely a strong addition to it, and especially the best part. Admittedly, the episode tries to wrap up a little bit too much at once, and not everything lands perfectly, so be it. Downside of this episode is Cole. No big surprise. Man, this character is just awful. I generally don't understand his purpose in Season 10. Was he supposed to be a human antagonist in the vein of Gordon Walker? If so, the writers completely failed to recreate him. Oh, good God. Yeah, he's not even like a thimble in comparison to Gordon. Damn, I forgot how much of a shot in the arm Rowena was to this dull season, with her saving witches from demon sex trafficking, a deed too low for even them. Topical reference aside, and starting and failing to get her own witch coven done with hookers. It's almost, dare I say it, a good episode if it wasn't for Cole, our hero, the most pointless character in this series, which is impressive. He's so boring I can't even insult him proper. God, what a shit fight. Is he the son of a producer or something? I literally can't think of any other reason why he's here. Hannah's send-off was surprisingly decent. I think she'd die in some underwhelming way, but she gave up on her ghost for humanity. I was actually sad to see her go. Better than most of the side characters we would get, especially those named Kevin. And yeah, it is interesting. I thought that Hannah's part was great. Me and Hollow here apparently have a very similar opinions of this episode.
All right, guys, thank you for your comments. Now we're going into Hitting 911. This is episode 8. Make sure to give me your guys' thoughts about that in the comment section below, and I'll read this off in the next review. I'll see you guys next Thursday.